rebuilding some GM lifters. These are a hydraulic roller out of a 98 Vortec 4.3. Probably applies to quite a few lifters in the GM lineup. They're all pretty similar, but we're going to go through teardown real quick and reassembly. So this has already been done. The reason I took these out was bought this 98 Bravada with had two bent exhaust valves. No good explanation for it, so fixed the heads up, and getting ready to put it back together, I looked a little closer into the lifters and found that I think all but 2 or 3 lifters were just jammed, completely stuck. Some were pumped all the way up, some were stuck middle, some were stuck in the bottom of the piston travel within the lifter. So I took them all out, disassembled, and soaked them in some Berryman B12 Chem Tool fuel system cleaner overnight, and going through the process of scrubbing everything down and putting them back together now, and it's going pretty well. But it's kind of time consuming, so depends what your time is worth. I think these things are $10 or $12 a piece, and if you're on a V6, you got 12 of them. So if you want to sink $150 and you don't care, just buy a new set. Otherwise, there's nothing really wrong with them, so I'm cleaning them. I'm using a small pick it's got just a little bit of a hook at the end of it. This works pretty well. Just get underneath there. Make sure you got your finger over top of this, because that clip will fly and you will not find it until probably a week later, or after you've got it back together and you went and bought a new lifter. So pull this clip out. There's the clip. Now there's 2 pieces in the top here. There's this piece right here, and then a little disc underneath it that'll fall out. There's that piece that the push rod sits in, and then directly underneath that is just this flat disc. Set those off to the side. Now the plunger in here is what actually is the adjuster. So what I found the best way to get these out is this little pick that's got just a little bit of a hook in it. I don't know if you'll be able to see in there on the camera. I'll try. You can see in the very bottom of that bore, the shiny dot in the center is a check ball. You have to depress that check ball because it basically is holding that piston in there by an airlock. So as soon as you depress that check ball, you'll be able to slide the piston out. However, mine were gummed up so bad, I wound up having to, even before I could get some of the clips off, I had to use a couple of sockets in this arrangement, front and back. One that will fit down inside that plunger, and then one that will fit around the outside of the roller, because you don't want to damage that. And I had to compress this in the vise all together, and then use a MAP gas torch and just heat this a little bit, and that broke it free so it would compress and start to move a little bit. And then had to do these while they were hot, so holding it with a rag and work that piston out. If they're not so bad, not so gummed up or anything, then it won't be that big of a deal. So what I'll do is just stick the pick down in there and poke it just underneath that check ball, and then use the hole that the check ball rides in to pull up, and it pulls out. So then this is the bare lifter. So we're going to set that off to the side. Now you've got the plunger plunger has a spring back here that's just sitting on the end. Sometimes it'll stay down the bottom of the lifter bore too. And then this piece here, you have to push out from the inside. So I have a longer pick here, and I'm just going to go right down through the center and push on that check ball. And, you know, hold everything tight. You don't want anything to go flying because these parts are so tiny they'll be really hard to find. So I pushed it, popped that out. Now we've got just the plunger, and then we've got this piece that is just kind of a, not really a press fit, but kind of a spring fit. This little piece has got notches cut around the outside, so it just sticks up in the bottom of this plunger on this side to hold it there, and then that's where the hole the check ball rides in. So with this, you've got the check ball. You can see there's a spring in there. If the camera will focus. Come on. There we go. So there's also a spring. Hopefully you've been able to see the rest of it. So you got a spring, and then this. So I'll put the pieces in order here. We'll take a look at it like this. So here's all the pieces. Here's all the pieces of your lifter. We got the main body with the roller. That does not come apart. There's a larger spring, this little cap, a small spring, check ball, the plunger, disc, and then the cup that the push rod rides in, and your retainer clip. So we'll put it back together now. First thing we're going to do is assemble this cap, small spring, check ball, and the plunger. So I've got a little thing of oil right here. Just a little bit of oil in this stuff is fine. You don't want to over oil it because you need to be able to get some air to escape in order to get that retainer spring back in later. So what you do with this, set all your stuff together, and then it goes in the shallow end of the plunger. Set them together, and then you can push, and that one popped right in. It's a little crooked, just a little more pressure and it straightens out. You could probably push down on it too. It just seats firmly in there. So now you can see that that's all back together. Now we will put the spring in the bottom of the lifter body. Just dip a little oil on it. Gotta make sure that seats in its position down there. It's just laying on its side right now, but it'll straighten out once I stand this up. So now I'm going to take the assembled plunger and push that down into the bore. Okay, now you can see how that plunger's sticking quite a ways out of the body right now, and that's basically just air pressure that's holding that back. The oil's just forming kind of a hydraulic seal, so you'll hear this. The seal is actually coming from that check ball, so you'll hear the air escape. If I'm pushing down on it, when I push that check ball, you'll hear the air escape, and then the plunger will fall in. So now that plunger is sitting there mostly collapsed. Now we put the disc in, like that, and then we've got the push rod cup. Set that in there, and then just sitting pretty high up there, it'd be at this point kind of hard to get that clip in. So what you got to do, take one of your push rods and then compress this and hold it there for about 5-10 seconds, and this will let a little amount of air that's underneath it escape. Now you can see it's pretty close to allowing me to see that groove where the retainer ring goes. So I'm going to set the clip in there, kind of with one corner down first. And then at the same time I'm pushing the plunger in. Now the clip is in and fully seated. Now just take a push rod, actuate it a few times and make sure it works smoothly, and you're done.